Hi, welcome back to Far Right Home. I'm Chef Patrick, and today we are doing a fan request. We've got some beef stew. So, yeah, let's get started. First things first, turn the stove on high. Get our Dutch oven hot because we're going to cook the stew in the Dutch oven today. So, that being said, 4 cuts of meat for stew. We have here, this is really bottom round, probably a mix of top round as well. It's super lean. Pretty good for stew. I also think chuck, it's going to have more intermuscular fat, a little bit more anyway. It's also great for stewing. Brisket, if you want to chop it up for stew, you can, but really all these meats are meant for like slow cooking so you can break down the muscle fibers and all that, and they'll get super tender. Cool. So, stove's getting hot. Again, putting in some avocado oil. This is super lean, so I'd probably put a little more than I would if I was doing something like chuck that had more fat or brisket or something like that, but that's fine. So, cool. Let's talk about, while I'm waiting for this, what we have over here. So, I made this bundle of rosemary, thyme, and parsley stems. The stems on these are going to have a lot more flavor than just the leaves, so, and it's the part you throw away anyway. So I just kind of put it in this bundle. This is some cheesecloth. You could do, if you have butcher twine, just tie around this bundle here. We have some turkey stock that was frozen from Thanksgiving. You could use chicken, beef, homemade, store-bought, whatever you got around is fine. And then we have some tomatoes. We have fine diced onion, celery, carrots, and some garlic as well. So, let's see if this is hot here. All right, coming over here. So, we are just going to brown this meat. So this is the base to develop your flavor. So most of these veggies, they're small dice. It's going to be a lot of mostly dissolved into your stew by the time it's done. It's to give it more body and more flavor. And we're going to add larger chunks of vegetables for the texture later through the cooking cycle. It's just to like make sure some vegetables have flavor, because this stew is going to take like 2 hours, and vegetables really only need 20 to 30 minutes to get tender. So we'll add our other vegetables later on. At this point, if you're going to do it, you'd put your wine in if you have any leftover in your fridge. This is a good time to add that. So white wine, red wine, if you have any kind of leftovers, great time for this. But we're going to add vegetables since we're not putting wine in here. Kind of sweat these down with the meat for just a second. We're going to add our tomato. Nice turkey stock. All right. So, it's looking pretty good as we cook. It's probably going to need, it's definitely going to need more water at some point as this kind of cooks. But we're going to give this a little taste for seasoning. Make sure the broth tastes good. That way it gets really into that beef. We do want to have this bundle of herbs, aromatics, right here. I'll kind of just tie part of it to the side so it's easy to find later. Not that it won't be simple, but it can just hang out here. It'll act like a tea bag. And once this comes to a boil, reduce it down to as low as you can and put a lid on it. And we're going to come back to it in about an hour probably. All right, guys, we are back right here. We're at like 2.5 hours of simmering. So beef's starting to get tender. I tried a chunk. We're going to add the root veggies that we want in this. Yeah, so I mean, if you're not giving your meat long enough to simmer, it's just going to be chewy and not great. So we're just trying to break down the protein fibers so that you're eating stew and it's not like chewing bubble gum as well. And now we're going back to simmering until that's cooked, probably about 30 minutes, and this will be done. So, killer. Well, all right. We are back for the last little portion of this. So it's been about 40 minutes here. So you can see the small carrots are mostly dissolved into this as we stirred in the potatoes and everything. The onions, celery, all that has pretty much become part of the sauce here. You can see it right there. And these rutabagas and potatoes, like I said, cook for about 30-40 minutes maybe at the most, and they're perfect. So this is all done. Meat's nice and tender, everything's seasoned up really well, and you have this really awesome stew.